Latin, the Romans were involved also in the Aramaic world, they spoke Aramaic at that time. Maybe that's how it got into Latin. I don't know. But thank you for straightening that out. Now let me see. Yeah, just a little scholarship on your part. So let's see. We're going to be in the SIFRA Tzniuta today. We kind of started. We started number Vav. Let me see if I can find it. I think we'll read number Vav. We'll go through it. It was not that easy for me to understand, and it's a kind of It's not stuff that I'm interested in because I'm not necessarily know they're like new ideas. So let's start with number Vav. Number Vav says, Rebbe ZOHAR, he says, Shabir lefi darko le'el, Dezer Anpin, Yonek Misaros del Golgolto, Sheheba Bechinis Vavin Ein Sham. Now, so this is one idea. So where did he say that? Okay, anyway, this is the ZOHAR. Sheheba Bechinis Vavim Ein Sham. So he said, Vihin Elus Aros de Golgolta, Heba Bechinis Osios al Gabi Loven de Hivarta, etc. So it's some kind of their letters on top of this white place. And we'll look at this number Yud Aleph, which is a place where we have some maybe different ideas, new ideas, I don't know. This is the idea here, that later on they go into Zer Anpin, and they incorporate in Zer Anpin, Messiah Sham, V'zel Lashono, V'toch Devarov, V'az Mispashtim Asfon Labazar, which are Kof Beis Osios HaTorah, which is the 22 letters of the Torah. And let me see here now. Is Kalalu B'Zer Anpin, and they become incorporated into Zer Anpin, and then we have a pasuk for that, Ki Bei Hashem Tzur Olamim, that goes into there apparently in this Likutei Torah. He says Ad Kan. Now, so let's see if we can get a good view of number Yud Aleph here. And carefully move this. Okay, number Yud Aleph on the bottom. It says Rebbe ZOHAR Sham, Shabir Bezel Lashono, Ubabur Be'etz Chaim, and it brought over the Eitz Chaim. He says Hai Resha Hivura Yesh B'cha Yud Gimel Tikunim. It has 13 Tikunim. He's talking about the head, the white part of the head, the top of the head. Bechinas halvanunis sheyesh begolgalta. It's the concept of the whiteness that we find in the skull itself, on top of the skull, really. Bein sari seir l'seir, between one hair and the next. Usually talking about bundles of hairs. V'soda rebeki hasaros atzman hebe bechinas tzuras osios. The hairs themselves are in the form of letters. Hanechtavos b'diyo, that are written like with ink, so to speak, on top of this halvanunis. Halvanunis he bechinas haklaf she'alav kosim osios. Okay, so far we kind of heard this idea a little bit previously. So then he said b'chem hasa'aros shehem ha'osios, and now these hairs, they are the letters. Yonik Zer Anpin Atzmel, so Zer Anpin himself is able to nurse off of these hairs. Okay, so we had this idea, or be fed off of these hairs from the shefa that's coming from up above. V'hasa'aros heim dinim. Now the hairs are dinim because it represents, I guess, contractions of the light. Shehem chozrin la'alos v'his basem. So now this is where it gets a little harder for me. He says the concept of the hairs that are dinim, I guess he means to say like this: if the hairs are dinim, the nature of dinim is from the bottom to the top. I guess he means it's like a or choser. V'chasaros heim hadinim heim chosrim la'alklos v'liz basem. They go back and they become more perfumed. Now that seems to me like it's a little from outer space. So I don't know about them going back. I thought they were coming down, and the statement is that they're going down to touch the hairs of Zeranpin. But here he says that they're going back, and they go back to be misbasem there. This is all the concept of an or panimi, a panemius of light that's inside of the keser, I guess, of Erich Anpin. So then he says this, which he says this is in time of a mitzvah. So anyway, so then he said the Netzach v'chod shehem amar naki. So he says, what are these? He calls these hairs in the color of I don't know. It's the color of amar naki, of clean wool, of purified wool. Let's say. So there's shehem. I guess it's very. Whatever is purified wool looks like, but he yosha la'olam netzach kolo b'chesed v'hod netzach. So he says la'olam. Where is this coming from? I'm not sure. He says netzach has within it chesed. Excuse me, kolo b'chesed is incorporated in chesed. So when we say chesed, so chesed, I don't know. V'hod b'gevura. The netzach and hod elu are naki. So I don't see that. So how those go together, because they're incorporated in a higher level. I'm not sure. And he says also, which I'm not sure about, is that the hairs, which I guess he says a fact, he says they represent Netzach and Hod of the Golgotha in some way. Maybe we learned this before. They come back out through the Kruma, the Vira, and come out. That is from Netzach and Hod inside the skull. I don't know. So V'hod Elu, Amar Naki, they're called that. Ramazin B'Gulgalta, it's a remez to the skull, the top of the head. Umochad of a Tamiri Toman, and the mocha that are hidden inside of them. So from this, and so he just went and he said, if you the combination of Netzach and Hod are also part of Chesed and Gevura, he said that this is coming up out, the Hiyos Shalolam Netzach Akolo B'Chesed V'Hod B'Gevura, the Netzach V'Hod Elu are the No'omer Naki that have a higher level inside of them, let's say, so to speak. Ramozin B'Gulgolta B'Muchas Timor, B'Tamiri Toman, and they're hidden in there. And from this is where the hairs start coming out. Or choser milamata lamala. So that light that's coming out is also a rebounding light. So again, it's going downwards, but he says that this is, and we've seen this before, but it's like it's an or choser. Or choser milamata lamala. Al Shorsham, and they go back to where they came from, to their root, which I guess is inside of the head of Erich Anpin. V'yotzen lamala al Golgoltos, and they wind up going up above, outwards, or yotzim lamala, up above al Golgolta, on top of the skull. So now we see that their light starts going from the bottom to the top. Derek Chai Kruma Devira, through this Kruma Devira Ashera Behu Rikia. So this is very difficult for me to understand. He says the Kruma Devira is like I consider Rikia like a boundary or something like that. He Rikia, Shesham Mislavish Teferis the Atik, and because in that place is where you have the Levush is Mislavish, the Teferis of Atik. Shehu Bechinas Vav, which that we do know that Atik is a Vav. So I've always been confused about what's coming in and where they lodge in Erich Anpin. Az ha'arachaku sheyotzach b'roku golto, then that radiance that's coming out now, sheyotza al golto, goes on top of the skull. Na'asa nimin v'sa'arus kedinyan suras vavim. It makes that. Now he just went through the whole depiction of how it comes in. He has three different things here. He has Netzach and Hod, and now he has Teferis. And in between of that, we have the concept of an Or Choser, and I'm not sure exactly how it works. It's still a little vague. Also, ha'arachu hu yotzach l'golgolas na'asach nimin v'sa'aras gedimyan source vovim. Ki ha'sa'aras yotzim ala golgolta, because the hairs come out through the skull. Mebechinas Netzach and Hod, straighten out a little bit, and they're the aspect of Netzach and Hod, the Heim Timiri Tomen that are hidden inside of the skull. So I think that we did learn, spent a long time in the Idris, so we did learn that Netzach and Hod correspond to, I don't know, that they go back, that's the area that goes back out. I guess they're the traveling part, they're the legs, so to speak. I don't know, they go back out. V'hem nekroim vavi hamudim, and they're called the vavim of the columns that we see this depicted in different places. And v'hem nizchaver levnunis haklaf hivarta, and from them comes out the whiteness of the klaf, which is white. V'chasa'aros also, or the vavim, and they're the osios. So all of this is coming out, saying from this concept of Netzach and Hod. And maybe he means that it's an or choser when it's inside of the skull of Erich Anpin, and it goes, instead of continuing to go downwards, it goes back up again. I'm not sure, because he said that they're resweetened. So that makes me think that they came out and then they go, that is the mochim, inside of it come out and then go back. Which is the osios. Minisarus osios, and from the hairs, which are the letters. Misham and Meirim, the Zer Anpin, from that place then, they shine at the Zer Anpin. Shenivnach v'gusa besod kafpes osios atorah, that his body is built out of these 22 letters. Okay, there's a lot in that little piece there, I think. And let's go on a little bit more, because there's just a little bit more in this piece on number Yud Bet. And then Bet up above, it said up above on the top, it says Iskala the Zer Anpin Kamavur Pasuk, that all incorporated as Zer Anpin, as explained in the Pasuk. Ki Be Hashem Sur Olamim B'Lakuti Torah, that's over in the Lakuti Torah. There's a Yud base on this, Ayin Sham. Let's see if there's any light that I can get out of this. I've never seen it laid out really easily for me to understand or remember what's going on into the Gogolta of Erich Anpin and these different spheros that we have represented there. So let's look at number Yud base. It says Rei B'Lakuti Torah Sham. There are, in the Sefer, I just switched over to the Sefer Torah. There you don't see Tamim and Nekudos. Because the Tamim and Nekudos really referring to the root of Zer Anpin. So let's just say, I think we've seen before that Zer Anpin represents the Torah Shebechsav. Heim Ramozin, the Shorish to Zer Anpin. So what is that? Ki Hatamim, they come from Erich Anpin. V'Hanakudas come from Abba. Veinim is Gala b'Sefer Torah, but they're not revealed. No, they remain beyond the written Sefer Torah. The Rak HaOsius, the only thing you see there is the Osius. The Osius are manifest in Zer Anpin. Ad Kan, Ad Sham, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's that. So we have maybe just a little bit more time, and we'll look at this first one, because there's some more things here that I didn't follow very well when I was trying to read it. Here's a new piece. In order to get this piece, let me go back. Let me just beg your pardon and go back to the very beginning of where we were. So that we could, because we're starting another piece. It said previously, and just in a running start on page Reish Daled, all the way back. So this is the words of Rebbe Shimon. He says, Mispashten asvon lebasar. So they go around the back, or they spread towards the back. Vis kolaloch bezer the anpin. Kama the Shariach Begulgalta is the same way that they reside in the skull. Ishtakachu mispashtim b'kol gufa. Then we see them also spreading throughout the entire body of Zer Anpin, l'shakla l'kulo, so that everything will be incorporated there. Now, whoops. Okay, let me go back over here and let's see. Read this verse, number bet. So he quotes that. He quotes that last sentence of the whole sentence of the Rashbi. He says, "V'kamesh the sharia begolgalta ishtatku mispashte bekol gufa." You see that it spreads in the whole body. Now it seems like I would just say offhand that if it's reaching Zer Anpin and it comes into his head and it strikes the hairs and so on and so forth, that would mean that then it's going to spread throughout the body. So what are we learning here? Bibir inyan kamed the sharia begolgalta ishtatku mispashte bekol gufa. Rei bibir hameshula the fiha arizal. What does he say? He says it is bar al pi bir hagra. The Khan. The Ritzol of Loma Komosha Erich Anpin Maskil Makum Osius Yudke Vav Lamala Begulgalta. So this is where we see the first manifestation of these three letters in the skull of Erich Anpin at the very highest level. And then they spread throughout the body of Erich Anpin. So he says, Kahu gam bezer anpin, the same process. Okay, that's what I said outside, which I would have thought. Shemaskil begulgalas bebechinas chachma binadas. So it begins there in the concepts and the origins of the concept of chachma binadas. B'achakach mispashtim lamata beguf zer anpin, and then after that it spreads downward into the body of zer anpin v'ayin sham od. So the Gra adds on to this, because the Gra we saw previously is talking about this the Shefa of the Yaku going through the spinal column of Erich Anpin and spreading throughout its body. Now, how does this bring us to Zer Anpin? He says, Nosef kam sheyesh chiluk ben his pashtus ha'osius be'Erich Anpin. His pashas osis bezer anpin ein sham. Amasha amba behemshech SIFRA d'tzniuta. So what we see as we go on in the SIFRA d'tzniuta, the shachla l'kula, I think it means to combine everything. Nisbar bebirach meshula the fil rizal, besod hamshachas oros, these oros which are called amarnaki. Hanizkar behemshech ein sham, which is mentioned as we go forward. Also that idea. Animshach ma'osis yud kei vav de Erich Anpin, l'kayim osius yud kei vav de Zer Anpin. So he says, what comes down? He says the shefa bracha. The shefa bracha is going to go into Zer Anpin. Of a bira meshula the v'yagra, and according over there, nizbar shuku besod ham shachas malchin. So this is the secret of the streaming of the malchin downwards. Shabonim Misaknim call Goof Zer Anpin, that ultimately they're going to build the entire goof of Zer Anpin. V'gam HaNukva de Zer Anpin, also the Nukva de Zer Anpin. So I thought that I probably, I'm not sure what I'm looking for here, because I'm thinking that I probably knew that. That's what I said outside by myself from previous limud. So we're going to get to number bet the next time. And number bet, I think I really didn't understand number bet very well. So we'll try harder next time on that one. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll go over to the night drushas.